the obstacles that you guys have faced kind of entering the business are kind of, probably similar to obstacles that any young people would be facing trying to get into the business right now. What do you think? I mean, what encourages you about the industry you work in and locally? What can be done to support people from all avenues looking to get into the sector? Like, are there things that you see in your profession that you think are, kind of good initiatives, or what can be done to improve and make kind of, availability better for access better for people to get into the business? Like, that's obviously it's a big question, but I'm curious what the situation in Germany is compared to, other industries. Who wants to lean in on that? Yasha.
I mean, I think in the beginning it's very easy, but it's money, because if you don't have money from your parents or from your background, it's very hard to study. And because you need all your time to put it into your films, also at film school. And I saw a lot of people around me like struggling with working two jobs beside their studies to make this study. I mean, the good thing is in Germany is that studying is not that expensive, but in the end, it's all about the time you have to put in your films. And I think this is one of the, but it's like it's everywhere. If you want to become a doctor, you need your time to study, and so this is the main thing I would say. And then for me, it would be that people really, um, when you apply with a film project, they say yes or no very quickly to you. I think that this would help, because in the end you work for like 1 or 2 years without knowing if you can make this film work. And this grows insecurities, especially in young people, I would say. And I think this would be something you can really change in the industry, that you say yes to the people or to the filmmakers earlier in the process.
Lisa, is there anything you wanted to add?
Well, I think the whole field is changing so fast, and I mean, now we have a lot of different channels out there. I mean, there's YouTube and TikTok and all these other channels that are not like cinematographic, media yet. It's I think it's become much easier for anybody. Everybody has a camera, a good camera in their pocket, really. So I think it's definitely diversifying the whole field of audiovisual media. Is diversifying a lot. The big question is rather for me is how does the whole like cinema world, how does it orient itself? How does it position itself in that changing media landscape? And how relevant is that art form that we were taught in at university at film school, and that I loved, making films for the big screen. How relevant will it keep on being, and how can it survive and keep on inspiring people and keep on bringing communities together and all these beautiful things that the theatrical films can do. But yeah, it's something that is really uncertain these days, and so we have to really think about it in many different ways. I think this question and any other questions.
The landscape, as you rightly say, is changing so rapidly, so quickly, and all over the world in terms of how people consume content. And a lot of people are consuming content on YouTube and and on social media. And I know there's a big push, as you rightly say, to what can traditional cinema do to kind of galvanize, if you will, young people back into cinemas. Um, Now, I'm sure no one, if we had the answer to that then the gatekeepers and the distributors and the producers would be doing all of this stuff. But I'm curious from your perspective, and your thoughts, like what if you were kind of the people responsible for putting films into cinemas, what each of you, what would you like to see more from the cinema industry to encourage young people back into how do you compete with this behemoth?
I think in the end, we can't compete with social media as filmmakers, and that's not what we want to, because in the end, as Isa said, the cinema is a room, like a physical public space where people actually come together. And I think this will be very crucial within the next decade, I'd say. And yeah, we really need to create those spaces to bring people together and have like shared narratives together that in the end brings us together even more, you know, because social media tends to be very, I mean, I did a film about social media again with Baby Star, and social media tends to not bring people together really, but rather divide them. And I'm really not sure how we bring the younger generation back to the cinemas, but in the end, we really have to create spaces for them and like really try to get them back. And this needs initiative in the end, from the studios probably, and all us filmmakers.
Yeah, I wanted to say, I really think that maybe going to the cinema could be also seen as a political act. I mean, in those times when we speak also about social media, and maybe there it emphasizes individualism and isolation more and more. And I have the feeling that going to the cinema, having this communal experience to watch a movie together, maybe to laugh together, or maybe just to be. Sometimes I'm really. Sometimes like irritated with the reactions of some people to specific scenes, and I found it exactly like it's sometimes it's more interesting to watch the people watching the movie. So I hope that maybe also the next generation, when we speak about it like this, could be maybe more open to see cinema or going to the cinema more like maybe it's more than just entertainment.
I'd love to talk a little bit or get your thoughts a little bit on something we've been writing a lot about at Deadline across the last 18 months for sure, which is AI. I feel like we can't read an article, or we kind of can't escape it when you're reading articles about the business right now. And it's here, it's coming. The tech is moving very quickly. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this and how, you know, it might affect the business. Have you used it in your field and your line of work for anything? And maybe I'll start with you, Isa, because I know you made a documentary about AI, roughly around AI. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about that project and what your thoughts are on AI in general.
I made a feature documentary on human robot relationships that came out in 2019, so it was actually quite early. Like people back then thought, this is like so science fiction-y. It's like 20 years in the future or more, and here we are 5 years later, 6 years later, things are, have turned into reality. And I'm working on another film on AI right now that is more concerned with AI safety and the alignment problem and so on. So it's definitely been a big, super important topic for me in the past couple of years. And I cannot really separate the AI and film industry discussion from AI in the world discussion, because it's so huge. I mean, the questions we're confronting are just, huge, and they're not anywhere near to be solved. So, I mean, of course, I'm super concerned regarding AI in creative work or in work in general, what it means to the world, to work. And I think we used to think that AI will do the mundane task and not the creative ones. It turns out the opposite is the case. AI is actually super good at being creative, and it will become even better. And of course, there's, amazing possibilities to co-create with AI, from script writing to animation to editing to, playing with archive footage, modulating it, and so on. And that's wonderful. But then AI will, pass us, and it will become much, much better. And then if we don't have sufficient regulation, everything will be done by AI, because it's cheaper and it's more efficient and so on. And So the problem with AI is that it develops so much faster than we are able to regulate it, because our, institutions to regulate are just working much slower. And so, yeah, there's massive problems ahead of us. And I'm just always thinking of, okay, what happens to our sense of meaning as humans if, there's hardly any work for us left to be done. If AI can just do everything better than we can, and that includes making, wonderful films. It's just, our whole sense of dignity and of meaning is tied up into our work. And that doesn't only concern filmmakers or creative people. I think in general, it's a huge unsolved mystery, and everybody in the world of AI as well, like, is talking about that and wondering, nobody gets answers.
In the end, we also have to see the good things AI can bring us. But as Isa said, I think this was a great summary of hers, that we only use it for our advantage in the end, and this will be very difficult. But what scares me the most is that, like, there are no more unique films, and everything is generated for a particular person, so that we don't have the moment of talking about films together, because everybody saw different films. And it's not that important if we see a film in theater or at home, when we can talk about it. But if we have like uniquely algorithmically generated content for each of us, it gets very difficult to have topics anymore in the future.
Yeah. It's quite scary. That's quite scary. Bayan, Bayan, we'll start with you. I mean, it's the usage of AI, if you are in front of the camera, is very, very different. And I think many people would have read the story earlier this year of Tilly Norwood that kind of broke waves, from a company called Particle 6, and they've made this actress who is an AI actress. She is not real. And they said, at a conference in Zurich, they mentioned the lady who founded the company and invented Tilly said, talent agents were circling her, and this created a lot of furor. What are your thoughts on that? What were your reactions if you saw that story? And what are your concerns about AI being used, in people's likeness and for your profession?
Observing myself, but also actors that I admire, I always think that I really love actors who have a very strong personality. And in casting, it's not only about doing like the ability of playing a scene, it's also about the interpretation that you bring with you. And I think this is very human, and this is, I think, a good director also is not interested in a puppet or like in molding thing that you can just form and do it like to your character. You're also interested in a person that comes and tell you something. And what I really hate about AI, that it always try to tell me the things that I want to hear. And I think this is so boring, and that's why I have really this naive hope that people would always stick to the real human actors, I hope. But I think it's really dangerous for dubbing jobs and also voiceover, because people think that you can replace this very easily, but I don't think so. And that's why we need the law and the regulations for, the union. Very important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so what about you? What are your thoughts on this?
Kind of like what you said, Bayan. I think for me personally, as of today, I'm not really interested in the output of AI art, because like it doesn't matter if it's visual arts or music or paintings or acting, because what I'm interested in is like the human part and the human story, the background, the emotions, the connection between two people. And also talking about, I forgot her name, but the AI actress you talked about, when I look at pictures of her, it's just not a human. Like, there's no soul. And I think like as of today, you can see the difference and spot the difference. I mean, AI will get better, and probably at some point you can't spot it anymore. But maybe then there will be, in music albums, they have like the E sometimes for explicit content. So maybe we will have an H for human content. And that's something beautiful, I think. And I don't know what's going to happen. Yes, probably it's going to be very, very good. And we're going to face a lot of new challenges. But I think the human aspect of art will always stay unique, hopefully.
I agree with that.
We live in very interesting times, and that's always great for stories. And in the end, everything, I think, Diana, you already said that everything comes in waves, and I believe in it, and I hope that we are at tipping points at the moment, and that, as Enzo said, people always fall back onto the human parts of arts, or to the more human things. And I mean, for myself, I'm very happy to get into the industry.
A wonderful note to end this on. Guys, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a wonderful conversation with all of you. I wish we had more time, but I'm afraid we're out of time. I wish you all the best. Can't wait to see what you do next. And thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Diana.